Hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome back to my OpenTTD Let's Play, where we are doing part 2 of your 1960 game saves. And first up, randomly selected again, we have the company Keen RS from Keen Riser. So this one looks particularly interesting because we don't have many fractured networks. It looks like one network running all the way up the east coast of the country, down from the kind of southern area of Norfolk, maybe that's slightly somewhere else, and then it comes all the way up that side into the bottom of Scotland. So I'm really interested to see how that's going. But first, let's just have a quick look at the challenges. So down in Exeter, to kind of satisfy our needs, you've put some bus stops and some buses and some mail stops, and it looks like that has stunted your growth a little bit for some reason. Either you came into Exeter a little later on, or you're not quite fulfilling the requirements here, because you're only at 3,900 odd in your population. Certainly grown, but it definitely could be a lot bigger by the time we got around to 1960. I'm guessing you don't have many vehicles going around this loop. Yeah, there you go. There's the full list of vehicles. Some things, I think maybe you came late to the game about this, because if you'd have done this right at the beginning, I'd expect the town to be bigger, which is kind of interesting. Okay, so moving on, let's have a look at the Holbeach Factory Challenge. And here's Holbeach Factory just here. You've got a forced double depot just over here with the little diamond shaped bit of track, and you've got two stations. Let's just have the coverage. Okay, so it's not two stations, it's two sets of platforms, and it's one station that covers the entire area. And I like how you've started to experiment with some of the other station types as well. So presumably you've got goods coming in on one and going out on the other. And looking here, see, you've got another double depot there, but it's not forced. You've got a pretty standard way out. I'm not quite sure why you've done this longer segment here rather than just turning a corner and coming straight out. I think that might be in an attempt to soften the corner, but then you've got like one track there and a sharp corner here, so I don't think that's actually going to make a difference. But you've got that going there. And let's see, are you bringing goods down here? What's this? No, you've got wood coming in. So you got a number of wood farms there, and presumably that wood is going to have to come up here to a sawmill. Where's the sawmill? Is there a transfer? Ooh, interesting. I never thought about bringing wood in, and it looks like, yeah, you've got trees all over the place. And that all comes into Long Sutton Woods, where there is a lot of wood. But where does all that wood go? It's just sat there. It's waiting to go to North Berwick Woods, wherever that is. Interesting. I thought round here, looking at the map, that you'd be taking, standard resources into the Holbeach factory, but you're not doing that. I mean, you are doing that up here. I can see you're bringing livestock and grain up this line. You've got some crossovers in your track. You're using path signals, some diagonal depots. This is interesting, having a depot over the back of another depot. Little bit of a messy track work there. You've got some lanes crossing, and look, trains have a tendency to do this here, where this train just crosses over for pretty much no apparent reason. There is a reason in the code, but from a standard human logical standpoint, it doesn't always make sense. To have these crossovers all the time can actually decrease the efficiency. What you're probably trying to do is get around vehicles that are broken down, but overall it should be okay. And you've gone around a forest there, and I can see you've gone a long way, definitely making sure you've got the depots. Some of these are forced depots, some of these aren't forced depots. I was going to say this is better because you're serving the two lines separately, but here you've gone down to 3 lines, I think. Yeah, you've gone down to 3 lines from 4 and then back up to 4 again. So I'm not quite sure why that's the case. And then more lines here. Your track is so higgledy-piggledy. It is so interesting. It makes me feel a bit funny. But here I can see that you've gone for a lot of farmland. You're bringing in all the farms. Let's have a look at your stations. Yep, you've got signals on the end of your platforms, which you don't need on a terminus there. You do need them on a row, and you've got your signal on the entrance in the right place as well. So that's all cool. You got some nice little bits here. Here you're doing better in not trying to cross the streams. So you're peeling off and you're using bridges to go over the track and round. Tunnels ideally would be better than bridges, because then you wouldn't have these potential speed restrictions. But if we just look at these bridges, you know, your speed restriction on this small one is 257. So even though I say that bridges restrict your speed, generally not enough to worry about it until much later in the game. You just have to go around and upgrade your bridges once or twice. And then heading up further north, it looks like you are bringing in, yep, you got some iron ore going in there. Where's your steel mill? There's your steel mill. Are you actually converting it into steel though? I don't think you are. No, you're not. You're not taking advantage of that yet, which is interesting because that steel could be brought down as part of this network on this line and brought down into the factory, which the factory would love. So that's quite interesting. So I'm just really wondering where all your wood's going. I'm not sure. Tell you what, let's look at the orders and do it. So if we go to trains, there are some. What's this here? Whole Beach West. Okay, so there's a lot of wood trains, presumably coming into this. It looks like you are delivering steel down here somewhere, which is totally weird. And the wood all wants to go to north. Oh, here we go. Right, you're using a spread station. So here we are. We are right up towards the top of your network, and you are bringing it right up here. Look at this line. Look at this massive line that you've got coming through. I must have missed something somewhere because it's somehow connected to here. What a network. What an absolute network. Well, let's have a quick look at a few other things. Your bank balance, it looks like this is a work in progress actually around here as well, which I can tell that you're in the middle of working out. But your bank balance isn't looking too pretty at the moment. But your overall income, operating profits, looking quite nice. So you're just spending it. That's the problem, isn't it? You've got a bit of zigzags here, and I'm presuming you made a relatively large change to go from good profit to negative profit. You either replace a load of vehicles or stopped something on one of your main lines. For example, maybe there was a problem here on this line and you was reworking it and all your trains stopped for a little while. That can cause a big dip like that. And let's have a quick look at the company. Yeah, company value is valued at just under 9 mil. And you've got a lot of different things. A few water tiles. Have you got any boats? You have got some boats. Let's have a quick look at that. Okay, so up here in the very top, you're using boats to get between the different islands. And there's a little bit of railway here with some bridges, which is quite interesting. You've got the old-fashioned style of passing places, which for low-volume traffic works fine. It really does. And you've got some extra farm work happening up here and getting brought over. Absolutely fantastic. Nice to see all those things. Right then, let's move on to the next one. Here we have Paint Limited from PaintSpot, and look at this. The first time I've seen somebody do this, they've used an area of land and some track and some platforms to provide a map of the network. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, you've got to have some spare cash to be able to afford to have all this track line around not doing anything. But you can see here, iron ore, steel factory, and the way it all links up, you've got a farm drop. Presumably some of these lines are actually and junctions are kind of very diagrammatic of what the rest of the network's like. Speaking of having the money to do it, look at that cash. 60 million in the bank account. Either you've been hoarding it or you've been really, really productive. Let's have a look at the world map and see what the situation is. Let's bring... Oh my word. Oh, look at that network. We've got a couple of outer bits which we'll look at soon, and we'll go to Exeter soon as well. But look at that. So you can see that there's a long section down here, a big kind of interface there, and a big loopy bit around here. It's almost as if it matches up to that. You know, that's really good. I like that. I've never thought of doing that before, and it's a cool little way to kind of give us an impression of what's going on. So let's have a look at some of the key things again. So Exeter, 10,000, doing okay. Not as big as we've seen some of them, but certainly doing good. You've gone for... Oh, okay, interesting. You've only got 4 stations in the town. You need 5. You're missing out there. You could be growing faster by having a 5th station. One of the things you need to do is try and have them spread out a little bit as well, because you need at least 1 passenger to be picked up, or passenger or cargo to be picked up or dropped off within a 3-month period. Now, with all these large buildings now at this stage of the game, that's going to be fine. You've got really good coverage on these. Look, there's your coverage. You're going to be fighting with the coverage of this one. It's a bit difficult to... Maybe we can get rid of the buildings. Yeah, that kind of helps a little bit. So you can see the coverage of that one overlaps slightly with the coverage of this one. And they're going to fight for resources. But overall, you've done quite well to grow the city. You just need 1 more town in there. We'll have a quick look at some of these outer lines here. So you've got quite a lot of stuff coming round, and it looks like you're bringing iron ore. Where? Is this just a section that you haven't built up yet? It's reserved for loading. So I'm pretty sure iron ore reservation. Yeah. So you're reserving a load of iron ore there for load. I'm pretty sure you're not actually taking iron ore anywhere yet. Iron ore, excellent. So I have no idea where you're taking it. Oh no, wait, there. There's your steel mill. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's all coming in here, and presumably you're not taking the steel anywhere. Yeah, you're not. You're not taking that yet. That must be making you a nice little bit of money, actually. Let's have a look at all the road vehicles, the trains on there. Yeah, look at that. Wow. So you've got some small trains. They've got 5 trucks on them, and they're making between 100 and... Well, you've got one with a negative there, so I'm going to presume there was either a problem or it's quite new and it's waiting to load. But most of these are quite high. You're looking in the kind of mid-30s to mid-90s in the payoffs for those trains. And that's profit, so that's going to be really good. And that's one of the reasons I think you've got some good cash in the bank. There was another outcropping somewhere around here. Yep, there it is. And looks like you've done the same thing with coal. You've got a lot of coal trains coming through, and oh, yep, you've been using some of the special logic systems. I know actually that you've been looking into this. I've been speaking with you on the Discord actually. So a shout out to everybody there who wants to be able to chat with other people, learn more things. Come along to the Discord. We even had a session where I hosted a game, and a number of us all jumped in and got on the voice chat and talked about some of the ways that you can deal with trains and the logic behind actually managing and doing merges, priority merges and things like that. It was really good to get together with some of the community and see that. So do come along, shout out we've got an OpenTTD help channel. That's always cool. So one of the things that you'll see here is that Paint has got a massively long wooden bridge here. Normally we'd be shouting at somebody, why have you got a really long bridge? Why have you got an old-fashioned wooden one? Well, the idea here is the trains aren't supposed to go along this. They're actually transferring signal information along with that bridge. So it's a cheap wooden bridge. Presumably, yep, there's your power station. So let's again have a look at your trains. And you're looking at profit last year. So a few of them are negative. Maybe they don't seem that new. So maybe there was a problem, or you got them stuck, or maybe they're just not producing enough, or maybe they're feeders into other stations, so they come out of one drop off and then go to another. But looking at the other end of the spectrum, you are making 60, 75, 35, 40, plenty of money on the other trains. Maybe it's just a case that these trains got stuck for a little bit and you got a little bit of low income. There's a lot to look for this one. So there are 2 outcroppings in Exeter. Now we come over to the Holbeach area. So the Holbeach Factory Challenge, look at this. So again, we've got, and presumably we've got waiting depots, lots of bridges here. These bridges ideally should be tunnels, but again, with this speed limit and the trains that you've got, it's not going to affect you at this stage. And you've labelled your station quite nicely, goods pickup. We can see immediately that's where the goods are going to be picked up, and they are coming down here. You're taking them northwest, right across the country. We're heading to Nottingham for them. Nottingham's growing quite nicely. I can see you've got a few bus stations in there to help the growth. And let's have a look at the income on those trains. Yeah, they're a pretty solid income. Anywhere between 85 and 53 thousand pounds a year on them, so they're making a good journey. I think you've got a good length on that, a good distance. The distance can matter and it can get quite complicated, so that's cool. And then you've got anti-clockwise traffic and clockwise traffic. A lot of thoughts gone into this. I'm not quite sure why you've got the longer entrances and exits on this station. Maybe that's an aesthetic thing to keep it quite neat. But yeah, you've got. Let's have a quick look at some of the other bits around here. This is quite interesting. So this is a triple split terminus station, and it's actually done really nicely. I like the way that it's been done here. I don't think I've seen it done in this way before, but what you've got, and the important bit on this whole one, if I just get my little tool out here, is this junction here. That is got a path signal right before it. This one here, not so important. It's this path signal just here, and you can see then it splits off into 3. And if you follow each of those 3, it goes into a pairing of a dual platforms, and then on those dual platforms, you've got these crossovers. Now, I'm not sure why, but you have got signals in front of your platforms, which you don't need for a terminus station. So that's a signal and a square you don't need. You can get rid of that, but that's okay. And then they come out again, and you've got some standard signals to allow them to exit and merge and bridges to go over. So this is a very efficient 6th platform station. This is kind of the way that I like to go. However, I usually go from a 4 to an 8. I don't tend to do the intermediate 6. And that's mainly because I'm lazy. What else is going on here? So we've got lots of trains. I can see your signal distance is actually quite short. That's going to cost you a lot on the maintenance. But you've got so many trains shifting so much cargo. What is your delivered cargo graph? Look at this. So the number of units being shifted is very high, continuously high. Your income graph is going to be continuously high and growing, and your operating profit, well, you look over here and you think, oh, it's only 1 or 2,000. No, that's 1 or 2,000 thousand. The K stands for thousand there. So you're actually somewhere in the region of 2.5 million in income there, and that's why your bank balance is so good. You have nailed it. Let's have a look at your infrastructure, and you can see here you're spending a lot on railway, but look at that, you're nearly spending as much on signals, which is really, really bad. But you've put those signals to excellent use. You have such good flow, such good movement in your network that you're able to shift so much cargo around it so efficiently that you're making the cash to pay for it, and then some. I would wager that your money is coming in quicker than you can build. I don't think you've probably utilised the pause option. Although, having said that, you must have. You must have utilised the pause option in order to build so much track, I believe, unless you're just a ridiculously fast builder. And here we've got an example. So I mentioned priority mergers. Here you've got an example of putting multiple bridges in for one track so you don't get a slowdown. So here we've got, let me get my cursor out again, we've got one track coming in here from the west, and it comes down and there's a bridge over the main line, and then it loops around and joins the main line. But you can see here how the track splits in half. There's two bridges and then it goes back again, which is a really good technique, because going up and down bridges can slow trains down, especially if they're longer. For shorter bridges like this, I'm not sure I would have bothered personally. I know it might give you a tiny improvement in efficiency. And again, these could be tunnels. What's your maximum speed over these? Yeah, 257 kilometers an hour. It's not going to harm you. So there we go. We've had a really good look at this network. There's stuff up. There's all sorts of stuff up here we're not going to be able to see, and have a good look at. And these junctions are really quite interesting. I think most of the time you've gone for neatness, and that's why some of these exits have slightly longer outputs than what I would do. But it creates it makes it look neat. You've got good flow. You obviously have thought about this a lot. And there, no, that's another triple. I thought that was the quad version that I used for a second, but at Newcastle. Actually, you've gone up to Newcastle, so you've gone quite far north. You haven't quite ventured into the hilly highlands yet, but I'm sure you'll be looking at doing that sometime soon. A fantastic submission. Really enjoy looking at your network there, and it's also been good to speak to you on the Discord too. There we are, cracking network. Example of what you can do when you look into some of the technical aspects of the game. You can do things like this and get close to this without some of the ultra technical aspects, like the priority merges and the special depots. But a fantastic example of a network working really well. Let's crack on to some other people. Okay, folks, this is Heinz from the company Heinz from Beam. Thank you very much, Beam, for your submission. You got a really big station here. This is the first thing I noticed at the bottom of London. You've got some really massive trains as well. Look at that. The train is so big and the stations are so massive. How many engines? You've got 2 engines on that by the looks of it. It's a passenger one. Okay, I haven't seen such long passenger trains for a while. Where are you bringing those? So presumably you're going to Exeter with this. This is the line I think we're creating next. I can't remember for sure, but oh no, you've got 3 engines on those trains. Bringing them a long way. Obviously you went the wrong way there with your terraforming. And yeah, oh my word, look at this. You've really concentrated on Exeter. So you're nearly at 30,000, which is a brilliant achievement. You've got another long station down the back here. Your coverage on these long stations must be amazing. Let's just make everything transparent. In fact, let's make buildings see-through, make it even easier. We'll put the stations back. And you can see here, look, the coverage, because this station is so long, it's got such a massive coverage. Now, one of the things you've done is you've got a bus depot here, and presumably you're doing some sort of transfer. Wrong button. Yeah. But you're just going backwards and forwards. You're not picking up people from down here and moving them over there. I'm not quite sure what's going on with all your buses. I'm not sure what your objective is with the buses. Just to shift a load of people around? Maybe you've gone overboard with the amount of people that you're shifting around. You've also got a load of ferries, I think, and stuff coming in from Torquay, which is quite nice. Let's just put those buildings back. There we go. So you've got stuff coming in down from Torquay, which is quite nice. Torquay's actually grown a bit there. You've managed to get up to 6.6 thousand. So there we go. There's the Exeter Challenge, linked up to London. Both of them doing really well. Let's just see how well those trains are doing. So you've got 4,000 people at one end of the line, and 2,000 at the other. And your train... Oh, some of them aren't doing so well, but presumably it takes so long for a train to complete a loop that potentially it doesn't pay off in a year. Looks like you've got some mail trains and some passenger trains. Okay, so you've got some trains that are doing 200,000, 100,000. I would probably wager that you'd probably just need more trains on this line. Maybe this would have been better done with smaller length trains. It would be difficult to say for sure, but my intuition says that maybe that might be the case. But overall, that line is making you a good profit. Your bank balance is positive. You've got 3 million in the bank. Your company value is 23 million, which is nice. And you've got stuff going up to your Whole Beach factory up here, which is doing really well. 1,300 crates of goods. Well, thank you very much, Bean, for your submission. As I can see, you've got some nice little stations down here and some fantastic bits going all the way through the rest into the factory challenge. Good company with an interesting passenger line. Next up, we've got JP's company. Thank you, JP, for sending this one in. You've called it Transmar, and I can see the weirdest thing has caught my eye straight away on this one. So much so that I've seemed to have to itch my eye. You've got forced depots on an optional rail line off the main line, which is really quite interesting. I'm not quite sure why you've done that. Presumably just the logic that this piece of track that I just put in is not needed if your train is going off the line into one of those depots. But the weird thing is the game that puts that piece of track in for you, so you'd have had to have removed that, which is interesting. And I suppose you're then paying less maintenance. That's two pieces of track that you're not needing, that you've taken out, you've removed them. There's no reason to have that there, but normally there's no reason to remove it. So that's interesting, JP. You've got a weird little turnaround thing here. I have no idea what that's about. Maybe you just wanted a longer corner or something. Why didn't you just come across here? Can somebody tell me in the comments why JP just didn't come across there like that? But overall, looking here, I can see you've got a multi-platform station, and you haven't got like one line going into it with a complex junction. You've actually utilised different platforms for different loops here and for different bits. You've got some sharp turns, but coming in and out of stations with sharp turns isn't really a problem. It's when you get longer segments like this, longer turns, and I can see that you've done the longer turns down the track quite nicely. What you're bringing in, you are bringing in stuff from farms. I've still got my transparency options set wrong. There we go. So you've got a little network up here. Let's have a look at the world map. See, yep. So you've spread from London through up the middle of the country-ish, and you've gone all the way up. This is your top end of your network here, and you're doing some iron ore there as well. So you've got a nice little transfer station, some long iron ore trains, presumably going down here to a steel mill. Yep, there's your power station with so many depots. I love the way you've split the tracks out here. You've got plenty of room. You've got double force depots. They are usually quite efficient. It's a good way to deal with breakdowns, and you've got some nice long straight lines. I like it. Quick look at Exeter. Where's Exeter gone? Here it is. And you're doing quite well. 24,000 size in the city. Exeter city growing, ongoing. Looking good. Looking good. You've even got an airport in there. Have you got many aircraft? Let's have a look. You have 38 aircraft. Okay, and is that bringing in a lot of your money? Aircraft income is about on par with your property maintenance and about a quarter of your train income. So that's quite nice. There we go. That's JP's. Thank you very much, JP. Let's move on to Vincent's. And here we have Vincent's company, and Vincent's company is called VGT, which that must be just very good trains. Let's have a look, see what's going on. Some wacky junctions going on here with some 90-degree turns. I'm not sure they're allowed. Let's have a look at the game settings and just type in 90 in the filter. Forbidden trains making 90 degrees turns is on, so that means they are forbidden. And that turn there must be two separate things. You must have a train coming down here turning and going this way, and a train coming along here turning and going that way. It can't be a U-turn. But you are transporting lots of coal all over around here. Your bank balance is very good. You've got 60 million in the bank and your company value is 68 million. So that's actually quite a low company value for that amount of money. I would theorise that you haven't actually made a massive network and you haven't spent a lot of money. Let's have a look. Okay, so there's a medium-sized network there, and your Exeter is going really rather well, and we have what looks like a massively reserved space for potentially a large airport. And I can see here you've actually started using the trams as well, which is really cool to see. I haven't seen anybody else use those trams yet, not that I recall. So I'm really interested now to know how much those trams are making. So let's have a look what we got here. Okay, so the trams are making some good. In fact, oh, that's an actual road vehicle making £8 there. So the trams aren't making as much as the road vehicles in this particular scenario, and it would have cost you a little bit more to lay, I would have thought too. But that's interesting. So thank you very much, Vincent, for this submission. Let's have a quick look down here. Yep. Again, with the stations, you split out the platform usages. You've got a bit of crisscross going on there and some wiggly lines, which is interesting. And I can see you've had to squeeze some bits in. But overall, obviously working well. Obviously working efficiently because you've got some good money in the bank. So let's move on to the next one. And we get to our final submission of the 1960s. Remember, if you want to play along, you can do. If you want to play up to 1960, it'll only take you 7.5 hours if you don't pause or fast forward the game. So in a couple of sessions, maybe 2 or 3 sessions, you might be able to catch up with us quite quickly and get involved. But thank you to everybody who submitted their games, and thank you very much to our final one here, Masai. I think M-A-S-I, Masai, I think that is right. Sorry if I got it wrong. But, oh my goodness, what did I say about trams last time? You've got trams. 2 people with trams in a row. I picked these at random. Stations. So you've got a nice clean station here and a nice clean station here. Your signalling looks good. Looks like it's set up so trains can only go through the stations and not kind of go back again. Presumably this is some sort of loop. Yeah, it is a loop. Your depots, you've got... Now this is interesting. You've done it so the trains can actually cross your lines. Don't think that would cause any problems. But you would have had to actually manually do that, which is interesting. And yep, you've put some trams in each town. Let's have a look, see how your trams are doing on terms of money. Okay, so they're doing all right, doing some okay money there, and some okay money there. Let's just quickly go out on the world map and see what's going on. So you've got one loop there. You've got all sorts of stuff going around London. You've got London to Exeter, and oh my word, oh my goodness, look at Exeter. What have we got here? 59,000. Is that one of the... I think that's one of maybe the biggest we've seen. You've even got planning in for another station over here, which absolutely looks amazing. That must be one of your starter stations, and you've gone for a triple station setup as well. but yours is done slightly differently. You can see it splits here with 2 and then splits again. Actually, I think this one's a little bit more compact than the previous one that we looked at in this episode. But you're doing really well with Exeter. You've got some lovely lines here. I can see you're using your existing line, splitting off, ready for your new station. That looks really good. Good planning there. Getting that in nice and early. And you've done something similar in London. Oh my goodness, on all 3 sides. That is absolutely fantastic. You've been planning ahead and you've done some good planning there. So I think you're doing well, and I think you've got potential to get even more. You've got another nice little loop here. Is it a loop? It is a loop. Fantastic. Love the use of trams. Like the little loops. They're going to be quite efficient for you. Let's have a quick look at some things. Your company value is quite high. It's got quite a few different bit of rail pieces. Your operating profit is doing really good. It's gone down recently, so presumably you've been doing some either disruptions to your network, or maybe you're doing some vehicle replacements, and that's just causing some more, slight inefficiencies compared to what it was like previously. And your Holbeach factory, oh my goodness, yeah, you've got transfers going on all over, and you got factory inputs and outputs. You've used spread stations just so you can fit everything in. That, to me, is the most appropriate use of spread stations there. For example, we can see that there's the coverage of this station. This little extra bit of platform just clips into the factory, giving it its spread. Well, there we go, folks. It's been a little bit longer, but I had to make it longer so that you could fit everything in. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. There's been some absolutely fantastic submissions this time. Please don't be afraid to put your thoughts forward. As you can see, we've had some networks which are nice and simple and work really well, and we've had some really complex ones as well, and everybody is doing fantastic. Also, just to follow up on a comment from last episode, somebody said that technically correct is the best form of correct for Looney Tunes Highway Challenge, and somebody else pointed out that I wanted to see people think outside of the box with this game, and that's exactly what they've done by going around the coast. So I agree. We're going on the side of congratulations, Looney Tune, for your Looney Bin Inc. and your Highway Challenge. So there we go, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Remember, thoughts, ideas and questions always down in the comment section. Go to the website for links to the Discord and everything else, and I will see you soon. Take care and goodbye.